Hello, everyone. Hope you are doing good. So, in our previous video, we have seen Deloitte Scrum Master interview, question and answer discussion for round number 1. So, this video is mainly to share my follow-up discussion with Deloitte, which is round number 2, which is also a technical discussion for a Scrum Master. So, quickly moving to the assumption. So this interview question answer discussion is based on my own experience. So you folks may be having a question like how you are able to remember, because like I used to have offline recording on the questions, whatever they're asking in each interview. And also I used to take a rough note on those questions, because that is how we can continuously improve from each and every interview. So that helped me to come up with the clear questions, whatever they have asked. So a disclaimer now itself, because even for Deloitte, for the same company, different projects may be having different approach for your evaluation. So it mainly depends on the job requirement. It may be little different also. And few answers we are discussing here may be based on my perspective, and expectation differs from interview to interview. So we will be discussing on the appropriate way to answer each question, and also I'll be adding few extra bonus tips for each question. Please do watch this video from start to end, and also do provide your support for my channel that can encourage me to do more videos. Okay. So quickly moving to the second round. So first round of Deloitte. So let me just give a quick background. So first round of Deloitte was for 30 minutes, and I was mentioning that the interviewer expectation is to the point answer and not too detailed answer, right? That was the expectation. So since I cleared that round, they proceeded with my process for the next round. So if you haven't seen my earlier round 1 Deloitte interview question discussion, please go to that first and then please proceed with this. So this round happened for 40 minutes. Okay. So as I mentioned, I was expecting like the Big 4. I was also expecting like a high, I would tell like a high level of toughness from the question. Okay. So let us see one by one. First, as usual, it started with self-intro, and then surprisingly, what happened is the interviewer started with my resume. So questions on my prior roles from resume. So in our resume, normally we used to have what are the roles we have played previously in different organizations, right? So from that, question started. So the question started in the way like, what is your previous roles, and in which company I played which role. So what I did, I list down all the roles with timeline. If possible, if you're able to recollect, please mention with the timeline. Not the exact timeline, at least they have it tentative. May 2010 to 2012. Jan, I was in this particular role in this particular organization. And then explain in short for the role whichever you played. For example, consider you have played a role of DB administrator. Then in short, just I have played a role of a DB administrator where what you will be doing exactly as a part of that role in short. And highlight if you have any major parts. So for example, in any one of your role, you might have done some achievements or like some highlights from a client level or some cost savings. So these kind of things try to highlight whenever possible. So from my resume, like I had like 1 or 2 common questions asked on my previous roles alone. And then the next question asked was, which project management tools have you used? And rate yourself on each tool on a scale of 10. So first, I listed down all the tools whichever I have used. Okay. And then you should rate yourself on a scale of 10. That is also an interviewer expectation, right? So I rated myself in a scale of 10. And then highlight the tool which you are very confident. That means mostly, for example, you might have used Jira in one organization. In the other organization, you might have worked with the AD, but you are very confident in Jira. And highlight that tool. That I have worked for around like 4 years with Jira. And you rate yourself for Jira as a 9 out of 10. Whereas for other tools, you can give a little less. So that will help them to understand which tool you are very confident. Next question is, which technologies you have worked with? Yeah, this is also a personal experience-based answer you need to give. Whatever technologies you have worked before, you can give it. And list your strong technology also if possible. Whichever. You are very strong. Next question was, the application you are building in your present project is using which technology? This is also a project-specific question. This question is mainly asked to understand whether you are aware, you have some technical awareness. That means whether you are aware of what technology your team is working. That means whether it's a .NET application or like whether it's a Java application. So whether you have that awareness or not. So in order to test that, check that, the interviewer is asking these type of questions. So as a Scrum Master, you should also be aware like which technology and what technology they're using to build your own application. So if you haven't started with that, please be prepared for these type of questions also. Next. Is technical knowledge needed for a Scrum Master? This is also one of the frequently asked questions I will tell from a Scrum Master perspective. So the way you should answer is explain with must or good to have. That means for a Scrum Master, to be a Scrum Master, technical knowledge is a good to have skill. And it's not a must have skill. Okay. Explain. Also explain why we are having. I explain like what is the advantage of being a technical Scrum Master, because that is going to add value, right? Because if a developer is having any problem, if you're having some technical background, then you'll be able to understand the problem and you may also technically help the team to get it resolved. In addition to that, if you have this technical background, it can also help you to ask some powerful questions to the team. So you can mention in this way. So I have mentioned here the way I answer, but it depends upon individual how to answer this particular question. So next question is, how do you help your PO, that means product owner? This is also a personal experience-based question. Okay, so you need to give a, based upon your experience, you need to answer this question. But when you're coming to the Scrum Guide, I just want to quote this from a Scrum Guide that in Scrum Guide, it is clearly mentioned 3 things. One is how the Scrum Master is helping the Scrum team. Next is how Scrum Master is helping a product owner, how the Scrum Master is helping your organization. So from that, I would like to highlight these four points from Scrum Guide 2020, because Scrum Master is helping the product owner to help find techniques for effective product goal definition and product backlog management. So this is one area Scrum Master is helping. Next is helping the Scrum team understand the need for clear and concise product backlog items. That means why we need a clear product backlog item. This also, the product owner will not be explaining to team. Scrum Master should be explaining. Next, helping establish empirical product planning for a complex environment. That means experience-based product plan, how we can do with the product planning and how we can come up with the product goal. So for these areas, the primary responsibility is product owner. So for this, Scrum Master also can contribute. Apart from facilitating stakeholder collaboration as requested or needed. Yes. So if you are asking me how I am helping the product owner, so mostly for the product planning part, I used to help my product owner, and also for the product backlog management. So I used to help my product owner to make sure that they are following a particular prioritization technique, for example, a Moscow or anything. And then if they're following a product goal or a sprint goal definition, whether like they're going with the right format or not. And then facilitating stakeholder collaboration also I used to. That means like if a separate review is needed or if a separate delivery meeting is related meeting is needed with stakeholder, that also I used to facilitate based upon people's request. So apart from that, you may have like n number of points how you are helping your product owner. Okay. So for that, even for estimation also, if your product owner is new, you may have like many points to answer this question. But normally, the expectation from the interviewer here is what exactly how you are helping your product owner. You are not sure. Maybe your interviewer, maybe a product owner. So they want to understand how you can help your product owner and how that can enable the continuous development. So from that point, you should be explaining with your personal experience. So the reason why I quoted these 4 points is because as per the Scrum Guide, these are the ways you can help your product owner. Just to give you a background on that, I have added this point. But please don't go with this alone. Please answer this with your personal experience. This will be more ish type of answer, whatever if you're giving in this thing. Next question. What technique you use to help product owner in managing backlog? Yeah, this is also one of the frequently asked questions I will tell. So the first is what technique? The technique is Moscow. The Moscow technique, you know very well. If you haven't, if you're not aware, like please go through my previous video in my separate playlist. I have explained like about the Moscow technique in detail. So this is a simple prioritization technique, which most of the teams will be using. And also, you should be adding that for managing the backlog, it is not only that prioritization is important, and also you need to keep a healthy backlog. So to achieve a healthy backlog also, you're going to help the product. Actually, I used to do. So normally lean management to remove the old stories greater than 6 months. Because if you are having old stories which is not going to add any value in future, please have a regular practice of removing. So this is also one kind of managing the backlog. Okay. And always it is recommended to ensure 2 sprints story are ready in backlog. And also at least that planned 80 to 90% of stories in the next sprint slot should go to your sprint backlog. This may be a bit confusing, but what I'm coming to tell you is, for example, consider you have 10 user stories, which is ready for next sprint. Out of the 10 users, that is 80 to 90%. That means 8 to 9 stories should at least go to your sprint backlog. Planning should be in that. In order to make sure in this way, you should be having a backlog clean. So actually the straightforward answer is Moscow technique. But if you're adding like how you are helping your PO in managing the backlog also, it would be better. So I explained this way and I believe interviewer was convinced. Next question. Next is like a follow-up question from our previous question. So when will you connect to stakeholder? Yeah, this is a bit tricky question. For most people, will be telling like only sprint review, but actually it is always recommended to connect with stakeholders as needed. Whenever needed, whenever there is a need, we need to connect with stakeholder based upon their available time. And also, one of the agile value is customer collaboration over contract negotiation, right? So always remember, collaborating with customer, don't want to wait for a particular time. Whenever needed, and if there is any clarification required, if there is anything you want to confirm with the stakeholders, as needed, you should be able to connect. Next. Generally, we used to have stakeholder collaboration in sprint review meeting, right? Because that is when stakeholders will be inspecting our deliverables. That means the done items. And in addition to that, we are following the same. So I mentioned PA planning also. In PA planning meeting also, we have to have collaboration stakeholders. So this is the way to explain this particular question, but some stakeholders may be different and your personal experience may be different with different stakeholders. So how you are connecting with stakeholders, be transparent for this question. As a Scrum Master, how do you review stories? Yes. Now, a follow-up question may come in your mind. Should Scrum Master review all the stories? So here they're not expecting you to go through the acceptance criteria and review that. They're not expecting that. What review you will be doing? So you should be very clear. This business case and acceptance criteria needs review whether the DOD checklist is getting done. You need to that the product owner will be checking. Okay, that means whether the story is working as expected or not. That sign off should be given by the product owner. And Scrum Master has no role. But as a Scrum Master, you can review the stories on the process. So whether the correct process is being followed, like code review for a particular story, whether code review is done. From the subtask, we'll be able to understand whether team is following the subtask thing. So if you're not aware of subtask, they have posted a video. Please go through that and tell me what is the use of subtask. And then if it is a testable story, whether they have test cases attached. And whether that test cases review has been done as needed. Then defect fix. Then Jira complaints related items, whether it is done. And then whether like, they are doing peer review or not for a story. And if it's a spike story or if it's an enabler, then like whether they are having the attachment or the details added to the story. These kind of things, the Scrum Master can do. Personally, I used to review the story daily. And also, the best place to review the story along with the team is daily stand-up meeting. Daily Scrum call, the place where you can check, and if the team is not following any process, at that time itself, you can even notify the team. Hey, please, I can see like no subject will be created for this particular activity, please clean. And then before question also, I used to review the stories. In case if some details are missing, I used to notify the team. Hey team, you have this to attach to this case details here. Please attach. That means all the whole story that's in the DOD criteria. So it should be very clear what review is Scrum Master will do and what review product should do. Bit kind of tricky question. So please answer very clear. How do you manage meetings in both your teams? I handle two teams at the same time as Scrum Master, so they were asking how I managed meetings. See, this question is applicable only if you handle two teams at a time. So what they are expecting, how your calendar is getting managed for your Scrum Master. You should be very clear at least. For me, in my case, it's in both my teams are integrated. That means that they have a lot of dependencies, so like a common Scrum Master was there. Your scenario may be different. So with your project-based experience, please answer this. And our you having a common Scrum Master. So whether you will be able to manage. So that is what. So this is also applicable only if you handle two teams at a time. And I mentioned very clearly we have more dependencies and it's an integration project. And that is the reason why we have a common Scrum Master for this two teams. Next, how do you coach a new team member? Yes, this is also one good question. Yeah, as a Scrum Master, you need to coach not only the new team members, also the existing team members, right? First, if a new team member is joined, so what are the areas? I have good experience with this, so I explain in my way. So first, the process, whatever process you're following, the Scrum process or whatever, how you're following, that clarity you need to give to the new team member first. Then for the product, from the product point, see this, you can even like share some courses or from the product, like the domain level courses you can share. That's why I mentioned like domain level courses. You may have the conference recordings on for your previous session to understand the product. Or some team, even they used to give KT to the new team member. That means one team member will be giving the KT to the other team member for the entire application more in that. And the technology. So technology related coaching may be required. For example, like if the new person is a technical person regarding the repository and regarding the source code management. So these areas, like how we are doing this. So technology related training also is needed. So I used to divide in these three ways, and process I will be taking care. Product, mostly product owner or the team will be like taking care of the product. Technology, the developers, the development team will be taking care of the technology related training. And we used to have like conference recordings also, which can help to save time from the team also. So if you're not having recordings for your team, please have some conference recordings which can help you. Which reports you use for forecast? See, you should understand the question. Which reports you use for forecast? So forecasting means you're trying to predict or derive with some plan, right, for the future. So normally we used to have sprint burn up and burn down chart as the primary report. So I answered that, and then the velocity chart. So the velocity chart will help you in Jira to understand how fast the team is progressing. And then epic burn down chart. Yeah, this also we use in order to check for each epic how the delivery is progressing. These questions, for this question, I answered in this way. Difference between a sprint burn down and a burn up chart. See, this I have explained in my previous video also. So the same. First, explain the purpose. Why we need a sprint burn down chart? Why we need a sprint burn up chart? Yeah, I think in my previous one of the interview, the same question was asked. I answered in the same way. So mainly sprint burn down chart will help you to understand how much amount of remaining work, and sprint burn up chart will help you to understand how much work has been completed. And the graph, the x-axis, y-axis. Story points and the time, right? The story points remaining will be there in sprint burn down chart. Story points completed will be there in y-axis of burn up chart. And then the scope change. The main difference the interviewer will be expecting is sprint burn down chart, sprint burn up chart, or mainly used to track the progress of the team sprint level. Okay. But scope change, if you're using Jira, then the scope change is clearly evident in the sprint burn up chart. Whereas in sprint burn down chart, there will not be a separate section or a separate line for the scope change. And at last, you can just mention which you prefer personally. So I prefer normally sprint burn down chart, which can help us to understand very clearly how we are progressing. So in this way, you should answer this question. Next, how do you manage dependency? See, dependency management is one of the primary roles for a Scrum Master. So first, I used to, if I'm having a dependency, then I used to link the items in Jira and I have made it as practice. And then we will be discussing this dependency in PA planning meeting in the form of program board or some groups. Okay, so mostly in program board, like we used to have that dependency mapping. And also, when it comes to managing the dependency, how we are tracking the dependency, we will go to program board with mapping. In addition to that, we have an SOS meeting. So people who have worked in safe, these are safe related. So if you have worked in safe, like SOS meeting will be there. So there also we will be checking on the dependencies with other teams. And then in case of any dependencies to be resolved like earlier, it is always recommended to fix. meet them in a particular meeting and then discuss on the dependency. So meeting scheduled as needed. So this is how I'm managing dependency in my project, but a few projects it may be little different. So it's a project specific question. Going to the next. So almost like all the technical questions were completed, and then the next question is like general questions related to job change reason, why you're changing the job, then like whether you have any other offers, and why you prefer Deloitte. So for that, it's like individual perspective you can answer this question. So on the whole, if you're asking me, the entire expectation is to check my technical awareness and project specific real-time answer. Because the moment the interviewer started asking the questions from my resume itself, I was able to understand the interviewer is expecting like from my real-time entire experience, not only the Scrum Master experience. So what real-time experience I have and also my technical awareness they are trying to test. So the interview was for 40 minutes on the whole. I explained like very clearly like each and every concept, however I have mentioned earlier to you people. And at last I was able to connect and bag an offer at Deloitte. So only 2 rounds on the whole. And next was an formal HR and HR negotiation. So hope this video is useful for you all and all the very best folks. Thank you.